This conference will now be recorded.
I got 6 o'clock. We'll call the meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we proceed, Thomas, you want to identify yourself that's on the Zoom meeting, please? Thomas, on Zoom, can you identify yourself, please?
Oh, might just have to stay as Thomas.
He's Thomas, Kim.
All right.
Just need the adoption of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0-0. We'll open the public comment portion. Individuals may address the city council about any item of concern. Speakers must state their name and limit their remarks to 5 minutes. Any public comments? Any public comments? I will close the public comment portion and we'll jump down to consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda are considered routine by council and will approve by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless council member requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and be considered in its normal sequence of agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0-0. Accounts payable, Bob Priege.
I just wanted to highlight one, number 82458. That was for the Zumbrota Fire Board dues of $92,298.06. Everything else was extremely low and normal, I think. So if there's any questions? Otherwise, I'd make a motion to approve the accounts payable for $103,308.92.
Second.
I just have one question, and it might be an error. On the department, it says sewer.
That's an error.
Okay, that's what I figured, but
Yeah.
I saw that and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, perfect. We got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0-0. Thanks, Bob. Unfinished business, safety dollars allocation. I'm going to throw it right out to council for discussion. I know it's been discussed. I know we've seen many numbers. I know it's kind of been a hot topic, different ideas and different opinions. So I'll throw it out to council, kind of see where we're at. I mean, I printed out, I think you saw everything that Kim done. I wanted to thank Kim for all the work she's done, giving us information. Did council all see that thing from Bev? Or Beth from Amblin? So it's basically just calls and stuff like that.
Well, I would just like to, tell me if I'm wrong or not, but the fire department, by volunteering their time, they volunteer a lot of time fundraising to keep our budget down to where it's at, which I give them a lot of credit for, all the volunteer work. But the way we're doing this, for them keeping their budget way down on our end is kind of bad for them than the way we're doing the percentage. And if they weren't helping out to keep that budget down there, and that budget was higher, they'd get a little more money out of this fund or this money that we've gotten. So to me, it looked like for them working hard to keep the budget down for the people in town, they're getting penalized the way we want to do the percentage thing here.
The percentages are basically based on what it is part of our budget for our citizens of Zumbrota. That's where the percentages came down. So that was at 91,972. That's the city of Zumbrota's portion for our residents for the fire budget.
If we had to pay these guys, if that was higher than that,
Yeah, I understand.
they would be getting more money then.
And Fred is right, if I can jump in.
Yeah.
Fred is right that, if they didn't do the fundraising and they needed, we needed put more levy in there, then we'd be paying more, we're levying more.
So with the townships.
Yes, so
So
the
the
townships,
townships.
but however, to characterize it as penalizing them, I think that, like we had said, that these are our city of Zumbrota taxpayer dollars. We're already paying 51% of the fire dues. So over half is our city taxpayer dollars. So, if you choose to give them more, that's fine. That's great. But if you choose not to, that's not a penalty. That's choosing to keep our taxpayer dollars with a city department where we can theoretically make an impact on the levy that way. Whether we use it for equipment, for our police department, or whatever it might be, I stand a chance that it'll carve a few things out that we would not have to levy for. So, however you look at it, that's just the reality of it.
And I think that can be a benefit if it's divided equally. And I understand the percentages and things like that. I like the idea of it just equal. It's still going to affect the citizens. I believe it can bring down the budget for the fire department. I think it can bring down the budget for the ambulance. It's a sizable amount of money if it's split evenly. I got to believe it's going to be very well used by all three entities, and it's more effective in a little larger sum than it is for 11,000 or 13,000, which it's suggested if we go by percentage of what the budget is for the police or for the city.
The ambulance, having the ambulance in town here helps our budget too, so the fire department don't have to have their own first responders like other towns do. It's a huge benefit to have the ambulance in town, very, very important for the city to have that there. So I don't know, in my personal feeling, the money that we got was to help all three of these entities to divvy it, to me, to divvy it up equal, to show that they're equal important to everything, and we want to help. We're all in this together. Any way we can help. Equipment's expensive for everybody, so I just think this is money given by the government, extra money to help each one of these, and I personally think it should be divided equally.
So the monies came back to the tax base for public safety dollars, not just to be spread amongst there. So when we look out to August, right, Pat's going to be retiring. We're going to be looking to replace his position. We're probably going to have to boost the salary, adjust the budget. That's where the township's going to kick in for his budget replacement. That wouldn't be just for us to require the townships to pitch in on that. This is money returned back to the city of Zumbrota, and we have obligations to the fire department and the ambulance, and we should give them something, but there's no guilt on us for making sure the citizens who paid the taxes are getting all their necessary expenses covered, which we are 100% responsible for the police budget. There's no aid coming in for that. So I much prefer the split as it is that was recommended back with the, based off the percentage that the city allots to the budgets. And we have agreements in place, right? Joint powers, they're set up on the front end to accommodate the costs. And it can feel generous for us to give money away, but it is the taxpayers' money that's in the residents of Zumbrota, not just the community at large.
And I would, just to voice my opinion, which I agree with Kevin, that as council and mayor, that we try to do the best decision for our taxpayers, the city of Zumbrota. And that's the way that I would have to lean, is that the numbers, it doesn't lie, it's right here. That's what's best for our taxpayers, because that's what our taxpayers are paying on a percentage per them budgets. And we got joint powers that take care of it. It's unfortunate that the townships didn't get any money from the Goodhue County, but that is something that's out of kind of our control
of doing it. So I always got to look back as what's best for our taxpayers, our residents in the city of Zumbrota. So I would have to agree with Kevin that at best, we do these numbers. And I, again, say, I appreciate Kim putting them out there and getting us the numbers and what it really is. So that's kind of my opinion.
I guess, yeah, my opinion is like, okay, and that's probably where I am in my life, but right now, I've used both the ambulance and the fire to help with my dad at this point. So I'm full that, I appreciate that they're here, but I kind of agree with Todd and with Kevin that we're ultimately responsible for Zumbrota and with the joint powers. We're paying that, and this was to come back to our citizens, and police is our, and we're still giving out a percentage based on our budget with these two. But they are fabulous, and they have helped numerous times, and I cannot say how wonderful they are. But I also feel like as taxpayers or citizens kind of deserve the money coming back in the percentages to our budget. But they're fabulous. I don't want to discount them in any way.
I guess my only comment, if this is the way that this vote goes, if this is what we'd like to do, I would like to know how those dollars are going to be spent so that we can spend them that directly affects the budget, so that we can reduce things as far as equipment, either vehicles or other things, that it can drop our budget in the meantime a little bit for the, a few years to come.
Brian and I actually talked about it, and we always meet before council, and that was one of the things I told Brian. I said, however the money gets divided, that council should have direction. I'm not too much as worried about fire or ambulance, just because of the sum is not super big. But I think with the police department and being that, and like Kevin says, that we are going to be dealing with some turnover here with chief retiring in 5 more years, and but that in October. So so we could possibly have some issues with labor costs that could affect our budgets, and not knowing which way we go with that. So, but I would definitely agree with Bob that however it is, that council does the approval, and Brian's like, yeah, it should be that way. Versus a budget, when we tell chief he's got so much money for this and so much money, that's what he can spend, but this is extra. And my guess is it's probably gonna do probably more labor, more training, and maybe some equipment would be my guess, is probably where a lot of that's gonna go. But I would like to see a council approve it before.
There won't be any. It's in a separate fund, so the only way I can move that money over into a fund to be spent, like say to move it into the general fund, is with council approval. So it will come as a transfer out from a specific fund to general fund, and it would have to be voted on.
By approval, wherever you put it.
Absolutely.
So you're saying when the chief gets replaced, it's going to be more expensive than when we replace a normal?
I'm just saying it because we could have some overlap of extra training. Because I assume the chief will have to train or be around for a couple weeks, couple months, depending on who the new police chief is. We'll have extra labor there. I think it's going to be the main expense.
Just one example, equipment is always there. It's always a need. We can defray some costs there. In many ways, just like fire and ambulance, there's always somewhere that needs some dollars, so.
Make a motion to apportion safety dollars according to the percentage of the city budget.
I'll second that.
Does that clarify everything for you, Kim? Okay. Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oppose?
Nay?
Passes 3-2. First of all, I want to thank Kim for all the work on the numbers, and I want to thank council for the extra work we've done at this and talking residents and looking at that stuff. Let's jump to new business. Something exciting. Sergeant hire, chief.
So as you know, a couple of weeks ago, we conducted interviews for sergeant. And with the outcome of that, we made a conditional offer to Stephanie Minor, who happens to be here. You had an opportunity to meet her up close. And so Stephanie comes from Dodge County Sheriff's Office. She's been there approximately 5 years and is very motivated toward management leadership. And so she fits very well with what we're looking for. And so right now we're just in the process of going through background investigation, psychological and physical. And once those results are back, then we can actually set a date of starting date and move forward with the position. So
Monday?
well, no, we're still not there yet.
Okay.
So, no, she's got stuff going on next week, a couple of appointments there, and hopefully we'll get some responses back fairly quickly. So
What time of the ETA, just, do we know?
I'm hoping sometime in March. That's kind of what I'm speculating. If it's earlier, wow, we're awesome. But that's kind of where I've been at. So, but yeah, looking forward to the process and hopefully being able to fill that role quickly. And I think that the training process should be much quicker than, you know, a new hire in general. So with the experience, we don't have to spend a lot of time teaching someone how to be a police officer, let alone a supervisor. There's going to be a little bit of a learning curve with that end of things. And then of course our standard geography, our policy, so forth. So we're hoping that we're able to move pretty quickly through that.
Perfect. Welcome, Stephanie.
I told her to keep her speech to 10 minutes or less.
Yeah. And I want to thank the Personnel Committee, Bob, I know Chief and Pasquale. And I can't remember, is it a sergeant from Goodie County that helped interviews?
Yeah.
And Brian, so for the work on that, we had two good candidates and I'm excited for Stephanie to join our department. So I just need a motion and a second to approve that.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0-0. Chief, don't sit down. We got police annual report.
So before you have the police report for 2025. And with a little of help from Sergeant Pasquale, who I will remind you had a communications degree and as a bachelor's. And so he really understands, you know, this is the second time he's helped out, did a really nice layout and putting this particular PowerPoint together. And so, which is going to be helpful in the future if in fact he ends up beating the position of chief. But a couple of things just to kind of highlight within here. One of our busiest years, even with less staff, we're up at close to 5,500 calls for service. That's a lot of calls for service for a population such as this. And I assume most of you understand why that is. It's where we're at. It's, you know, we're geographically in the middle of two major thoroughfares. You've got the metro north of us. You've got Rochester to the south of us. And of course, you got Red Wing, Treasure Island, I might add, places that people are traveling to and from. And so a lot of problematic things we have end up being transient issues. So people coming within our community and, you know, causing trouble, you know, whether they be traffic violations, let alone DUIs or other offenses. So it's pretty interesting to see that type of a number. And so there's a lot of data in here. I hope you had an opportunity to read the narrative. A lot of good training opportunities for staff, which has been great. Of course, we're highlighting some of the events within a lot of cooperative efforts with Sheriff's Office, which has been great. We do have a great working relationship with Loudoun County and as well as State Patrol. And I think this community is pretty blessed with having these entities surrounding us. So, but as far as that goes, I mean, do you have any questions regarding calls for service? You know, the trends, they ebb and flow. If you looked at the specific categories, there are some things that are fairly steady where we really don't have too many things happen in those categories. I would have to say most of our issues are more or less safety related issues. There are some property offenses that occur that we still deal with, but I would still venture to guess based on our calls for service percentage wise, that's still lower than when I first started here. There's a lot of property crime when I came here. And that's diminished to some extent if you look at it percentage wise, but.
Hey, Pat, the alarms category here?
Yep, so one of the things I should mention is the county had, they condensed a lot of the activity types. So all those type of things that you're seeing, 911 calls, abuse, you know, burglary, those type of calls, they condensed a whole bunch. They wanted to clean up the activity codes. And so there were several different types of alarms and we didn't always get them. So some of them, like if it's a certain fire alarm, we wouldn't necessarily get all those calls listed to us. So you see a large amount of calls, and that's fire alarms, smoke detector alarms, CO2 alarms, car alarm, you know, and it's usually not car alarms, but it could be, you know, building alarms and stuff like that. Water flow alarms, we get a lot of them at DFA, for instance. So that's why there's such a huge increase in it. It's because those things were condensed. It isn't because you wouldn't believe how many alarms we went to this year. It was almost 4,000%. No, that's not really the case.
Thanks, Chief. Any questions for Chief on the report? I mean, it's always good to look at these numbers and kind of compare. I kind of like it how they got the last 5 years on there.
One question for you, Chief. You've got community engagement and then school visits and things like that.
Yep.
Are those all included in that 5,500 number? Or those above and beyond?
They would be included in the calls for service, yes.
Okay.
Yep. So, because we, you know, anytime we do, you know, if we have a school activity that we're taking, you know, one of the things that we've been told is they like to see us out there doing, you know, being visible. We've had issues with, you know, traffic, stop sign violations at certain intersections. We'll consider all that school activity. So then that, because it's really kind of specific to the school, students leaving. So a lot of that. But, and of course, community engagement, you know, when we have, you know, opportunities to, you know, with different events or, we've done community engagements with coffee with a cop type of thing, you know, all that type of stuff goes into that. That was a newer category, in fact, just a few years ago that the sheriff's office put in there, because we were putting it different things, you know, and it was really kind of hard to, you know, some of these things are kind of hard to put in a category. They end up often being civil, miscellaneous civil, and it's like, well, it fits this better. So, but yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions for Chief? And thank the PD for all their hard work. Reports, Brian.
Yes, our Pleasant Road project, we are going to have a public meeting here in council chambers on Wednesday, February 25th at 6 p.m. Now, the way these road projects work, letters go out to all the adjacent properties, those properties affected. They get letters directly. We do post it on our website as well. And that's how those notifications go out for a road project. The pool project, we had the pre-bid meeting in here on Tuesday. And there were several contractors in attendance, a few here and then quite a few online. They did a Teams meeting this time or a Zoom meeting. And so there's quite a few on there, but there's 28 plan holders with this round. There was 20 plan holders last time, so a little bit more, but we are in four different plan rooms all across the country. So it's got exposure from both coasts, north and south, in these separate plan rooms. So a lot of contractors all over are seeing it. And we did have 3 or 4 or 5 local contractors that were in attendance as well, whether they be a general contractor, electrician, that type of thing. Yeah, and bids are due February 17th. And so then we'll know some more then. And hopefully we've got some bids to accept, and that'll be the first meeting in March for the council. Keep you posted.
That easy. That it?
That's it.
Thanks, Brian. Chief,
I got nothing else.
Nothing tonight, thanks.
Jeff,
Nothing tonight.
Kim,
Nothing tonight.
Miles.
Nothing tonight.
I have nothing. Bob have nothing. Joan?
I'd just like to thank the guys from the police for doing such a great report. And again, Kim, thank you for all your extra. That's it.
Kevin?
Nothing tonight.
Nothing.
Oh, Officer Curtis.
I knew we'd be here another half an hour, so.
Hey, Scott. Thanks for the update.